Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the third session of the day of Guj Coach sponsored One Day International webinar on Sustainable Development Goals and Chemical Engineering. So for this session with us, we have Dr. Yaraya Thada, who is working as postdoctoral fellow in Catalysis Center, King Abdullah University of Science and Technology, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Currently, he is working as a postdoctoral researcher. Initially, he worked in IIT Madras for his doctoral degree, and his main research areas are thermocatalytic conversion of biomass to fuel and chemicals, valorization of lignin, microwave-assisted pyrolysis of biomasses and waste plastics, hydrothermal liquefaction of waste to fuels, biomass gasification, chemical looping combustion, dry reforming of methane and CO2 valorization, heterogeneous catalysis, process modeling and simulation, mechanistic modeling and macrokinetic modeling. And he's also working in molecular simulation, that is DFT, density functional theory. So he has completed his PhD in 2019 from Indian Institute of Technology, Madras. His topic was DFT and kinetic modeling of thermal decomposition of biomass, lignin, and its model compounds. I'm glad to say that he is one of the youngest expert in this today's session who has completed his degree in 2019. Initially, he completed his MTech from NIT Warangal, and one more thing to share about the Yaraya, he is an athlete. He's a good sportsman. He is cricketer. So I would like to hand over this virtual dais to the Yaraya. So Dr. Yaraya, please start with your proceedings.
Thank you, Dr. Ritesh. It's very nice introduction. Thank you for inviting me as a speaker. I'll share my screen. Is a full screen mode on?
Yes, now it is.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Today, I may discuss about what are the different thermochemical conversion processes are available and what are the ways we can convert to valuable fuels and chemicals. This is my topic. I have completed my PhD in IIT Madras, and now currently I'm working as a postdoctoral fellow in MURE, Multi-Scale Reaction Engineering Group. And today my talk is mainly about the various ways to valuable fuels and what are the importance of biomass and its life cycle, and also what are the different thermochemical conversion processes are available. And I'll mainly discuss my works about microwave assisted pyrolysis and hydrothermal liquefaction. And after that, I'll give brief idea about the multi-scale modeling. And also just we need to know what are the common workflow in heterogeneous catalysis in the molecular simulation point of view. And this is my idea, what are the different ways available to convert the waste to fuels or any chemicals. You can see here from CO2, that is a global warming greenhouse gases, and CH4, methane to hydrogen, and ammonia to hydrogen. There is a valuable, and biomass is a various biomasses like plant agro residues and normal food waste, and these are the different biomasses, and the residues from industries, and also municipal solid waste. Municipal solid waste like plastic waste and different kinds of construction material, and everything you need to process by using different processes. Those are I'll discuss later, and this is the whole idea how these processes can transformed to useful fuels and chemicals. And from that, you can see here municipal solid waste, biomass, and different kind of waste. Here, there are the based on the biomass, they have biofuel production separates different generations like first generation, second generation, third generation, and fourth generation. Here you can see first generation is a edible fuel. That means eatable, like a food kind of fuels. We can not sustain on this because we need have food to eat, and also you cannot uh, separate, you cannot convert these into fuel because of so much population. We need so much of food. That's why the next step is second generation. Here there are different biomasses like municipal solid waste, industrial waste, and crude from glycerin and straws. These are the agro residues. These can be converted to fuel. That is the second generation. And third generation is algae. You can see algae to convert to normal biocrude. That is by using hydrothermal liquefaction. This is the best process for algal biomass because this is a wet feedstock. It's a more than 50% of water in that. That's why we can use hydrothermal liquefaction to convert this into biocrude. And fourth generation is the micro organisms. Here you can convert this also like algae, and you can convert to fuels. And these are the four generations, and we are mainly focusing on second generation and third generation to convert the fuel into fuels. And from that we are mainly here I am showing the global and India. What are the generations like more municipal solid waste? You can see here India 11.95% is a yeah. Here you can see India generates around 11.95% of municipal solid waste, and China generates 15.55%. But and you can see United States generates same as India, but they have a less population compared to India. India, you can see 18.5% of population and 4.4 of US. That means the more amount of generation in municipal solid waste is United States. And we can convert these municipal solid waste into useful fuels by using different processes. I'll explain you better in the next slides. This is how you can reduce the waste, municipal solid waste or waste management. First thing is, these are the 5 R's. First one is reduction. That means you need to reduce as much as possible using this consumption of plastic or waste management. Plastics and yeah, mainly plastics here, because we can reuse waste into its current form. The next step, you can reuse that plastic again and again. And recycle. This can be recycled by you can generate different valuable products by using these plastics. And finally, and fourth one is recover. That means you can use a different thermochemical process to convert energy those ways. That is the fourth one. And final one is landfill. You can dispose safely. These are the 5 R's you need to keep in mind to use plastics into valuable manner. And the next step is importance of life cycle of biomass. You can see here, first one is primary energy demand by fuel and region. You can see in India, it's almost 2040, the renewables almost increasing. From 2016, there is no renewable energy generation. You can see in 2040, primary energy demand, you can see 3 to 4. That means 50% of 50 billion tons of renewables can be generated by using biomass. And next one is consumption. You can see here the biomass is a green one. The consumption also increasing day by day from generation using biomass. And these are the different ways of biomasses. In biomasses, the major categorization is cellulose, hemicellulose, and lignin. These are the three types of components are involved in biomasses. Here the major thing is here lignin. Lignin is easily separated and can be used to produce chemicals like phenolics. These are the valuables because you can see the market value of phenolics and other kind of BTX or anything. You can see here the more market volume, and this is the potential lignin market value. If we see, you can produce more phenol derivatives. You can see you can produce less phenol derivatives and more amount of value. That means if you see BTX, this is a optimum. You can produce more amount of BTX, and also you can this cost also in between 750. That means when we select the market value, you need to check what is the cost and which one will generate more. Based on that, you can select you can select the process and also economical way. And if you seen the number of publications, if you are looking for publications, the increasing day by day. That like when you see 2000 to 2020, the more in 2500 publications are there in waste to fuels. Now it's increased to 4000. That means it's a huge when we go in the next decades. And this is the main aim. What are the possible ways to convert waste to fuel? These are the different ways you need to convert it to useful fuel. By I'll explain next slide what are the different thermochemical conversion processes are available. This is the biomass and conversion technology. Then first one is pyrolysis. Pyrolysis is just a biomass. You can keep it without oxygen and it will convert it to bio oil, crude, or biochar and gases. Here the main one is a bio oil. It can, and pyrolysis also has a different types of pyrolysis with respect to time and heating rate and temperature. This can change. There are three types of pyrolysis like fast pyrolysis, slow pyrolysis, and flash pyrolysis, depending on our requirement of the product. If we see, if you want a char, then you can go for slow pyrolysis. If you want a liquid, you can go for fast pyrolysis. And if you want a gases, then you can go for flash pyrolysis. These are the different types of pyrolysis are available. And here the main idea is we need to generate more bio oil. That means you can use fast pyrolysis as a medium. And the conditions are here. Temperature is 400 to 700 degrees centigrade, and time very less. That is a seconds. Within seconds, this process will complete. And if you see slow pyrolysis, it will take minutes to hours. That is the difference. And when we go for liquefaction, this is also same, but a wet biomass. You can use water as the medium here, and you can generate a crude. It has a more viscous nature compared to bio oil, and it can reduce more amount of oxygen from the biomass compared to pyrolysis. And also the heating value is very high compared to pyrolysis. That is the advantage of using liquefaction. And this liquefaction is mainly used for wet feedstocks. And if you go for gasification, it's everyone knows just it will produce a syngas. And the temperature and pressure conditions, pressure is atmospheric, but temperature is more, like it is 900 to 1100 degrees centigrade temperature, and with a partial oxygen. And this syngas can be used for next to produce methanol by using Fischer-Tropsch synthesis method. This is one of the advantages of you can generate chemicals from this syngas and hydrocarbons also. And combustion, here it is mainly for heat and electricity. And biomasses, the major problem when we use combustion is the as percentage in biomass. It will create a problem in sintering and fouling of the reactor. And these are the different companies are looking for plastics to biofuel. This one is from Patterson Energy. It is from Chennai based company. They generate almost every day 1 ton of plastic to convert it to 800 liters of fuel, and it can be used for furnace oil, and they can upgrade it to gasoline by using hydroprocessing technology. And you can see these are the maximum. There are different ways, different companies are available. Here you can see clean burning fuel from used fryer oil or restaurants commercial kitchens. They can use those oils to convert it to normal fuels. And here the Zero Energy, they're using gasifier to convert syngas, and then they'll convert it to methanol by using Fischer-Tropsch synthesis, and they can use it for other chemical processes. Here they will use municipal solid waste, hazardous waste, and medical waste also. And whatever the waste, they are doing gasification and converted to useful chemical. And here also you can see plastic to oil. Here they'll convert transforming plastic waste into fuel. It's 86% of conversion. That means use amount from plastic to oil. These are the different companies, major companies are available. And this is a case study. When we are using a COVID-19 mask, this one also they're converted to useful fuel. This is the major amount. These are the masks they're just throwing out just after single use. We are using single. These are the disposable masks. They are converting to fuel. This is the scenario in nowadays, because from 2020 onward, this is happening. Is a huge waste generation, and this is just a pyrolysis they are doing. They are converting to fuel range hydrocarbons. That is the main advantage of using pyrolysis, just generating heat or fuels. This is a simple experiment. That's not much cost also involved in this. Just you can take a tubular furnace, a normal furnace. You heat it by using you heat it directly in a quartz tube. This is just a quartz tube. They'll keep it as a these are the quartz wounds. They are inserting both sides of the feedstock and then the vapors generated by heating this feedstock, it will send it to the ice bath, because we need to get the liquid by condensing this process, and then they'll send it to the micro GC. Yeah, it will give you the product spectra like this. You can see here it will give the product spectra like what are the hydrocarbons or what are the gases are involved in this. This is just a simple process they are doing. They are converting normal waste to useful chemical. And one more process here, microwave pyrolysis. There is a different in conventional pyrolysis and microwave assisted pyrolysis. Here you can see conventional pyrolysis, you need a drying. That is a major thing, because it needs very high energy compared to normal microwave pyrolysis, because here they no need of drying. That is the one thing. And also the heating spectrum. Here you can see conventional heating. The heating can be start from outside of the reactor to the inside. But in microwave, that is a different volumetric heating. That is the from inside to outside. That is a good in microwave pyrolysis. And also it will give low processing time and higher energy efficiency. And you can feed bigger size feed can be processed, and better heat and mass transfer rates. Here same as whatever the conventional pyrolysis gives, but it has a high energy efficiency and also less process time. That is the main idea of microwave pyrolysis. And this is the homemade this is the setup we are using in IIT Madras. We have used this one. This is a research grade setup, but we can use normal microwave, homemade microwave, to convert it to the normal for reaction purposes. Actually, in IIT Madras, we have started with normal microwave. That is just same whatever we have microwaves available as a in homes, and that can be converted to the reactor as a initial step in the microwave pyrolysis. But nowadays the research grade microwaves are also available to convert these waste into useful products. This is just a normal procedure. This is a research grade one. Here this is normal quartz flask as a reactor, and these are the different K-type thermocouples we have using here. And then this microwave heats the reactor at operating temperature is nearly 600 degrees centigrade, and then the generated vapors are gone to the two condensers, because we have used two condensers here to collect the oil, and then the final gas can be exhaust out, or we can collect these gases in a balloon, and you can use it you can reuse this gas by heating any normal like heating purposes, normal homemade or whatever the things, we can heat it this by using this gas. And these are the analysis we can use by using bio oil, like elemental analyzer. It will give you the what is the composition in bio oil, like carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, and amount of oxygen. And when we use HHV, this is by using bomb calorimeter, you can calculate heating value. And GCMS, this will give you the what are the compounds involved is there in bio oil. These are the major analysis of biocrude, and also there are some other advanced techniques. Those are SIMDs. Those are, you can directly get what are the compounds, like it will give you a spectrum directly. SIMDs, that is a simulated distillation. And GCGC, there are different techniques available to identify the compounds in a bio oil. And these are the things you can see here. When we use I'm using microwave assisted pyrolysis of lignin. I have already shown lignin as a more amount of phenolics compounds. Here you can see the lignin. When we increase the lignin is to activated carbon, this is a susceptor is using in microwave pyrolysis to heat the feedstock fast. That's why the susceptor advantage of susceptor is that to heat the feedstock, because feedstock has a less dielectric constant. That's why you need to use susceptor as a absorber. And you can see different lignin is to activated carbon at a 50:50 ratio. You can get the maximum amount of bio oil. When we use 10:90 is the maximum amount of bio oil. It's almost 66% of bio oil you're getting. And same when you see 10:90, this is the different spectrum, different composition is available. Like you can see here, this is like simple phenols, glycols, and syringals are the most generated ones, because the lignin contains more amount of phenolic linkages. That means it will convert it to more amount of phenols. And also, if you see, if you use different amount of carbonaceous susceptors, that means activated carbon 0.45, activated carbon 1, and activated carbon 3. That means these are the different sizes of activated carbon. And if you see activated carbon 1 will give you the high amount of bio oil. And this is because of the moisture present in the present in the activated carbon is less, and also the surface area, external surface area is medium compared to the activated carbon 0.45. Activated carbon 0.45 has a higher amount of moisture. it will convert it to less heating. That means it will convert the bio-oil is very low percentage of this one. And you can see here the activated carbon has a more amount of maximum in all the cases. The simple phenols, glycols, and syringals are the major amount because of the lignin contains more amount of phenolic linkages. And you can see visual appearance when we see liquid lignin is to activated carbon. The oil has a clear compared to the lignin is to AC 1 mm and lignin is to charcoal and lignin is to AC. You can see lignin is to activated carbon 80 is to 20. It has a more amount of polyaromatics because this color is very black. And if you see here lignin is to charcoal, some amount of is brown and some color is black. Here you can see lignin is to AC 3 mm. It has a pure oil. That means it has a more phenolic content. And these are the plausible reaction mechanisms. If we say this is a lignin structure, it has a more amount of phenolics. You can see this is a oxygen with Me, methoxyphenol. That means this is a guaiacol compounds. And when we have a 2 ring, this is a 2O methoxy. That means it has a syringol. Then it has all linkages have a phenolics. Then if you heat it, you will get a first syringols. It can convert it to guaiacols and then guaiacols to simple phenols. This is the pathway, one of the pathway to convert syringols to simple phenols. And the next one is hydrothermal liquefaction. If you have any questions, please stop and ask. That's not a problem. And here hydrothermal liquefaction, you can see here pyrolysis, the difference between pyrolysis and liquefaction. You can see clearly here pyrolysis is a necessary, drying is necessary, and this is no need of drying. And the temperature, you can see temperature 350 and 650, and in liquefaction 200 and 400 degrees centigrade. But this is not an important, but you can see the oxygen content and heating value. These are the two are main important. Oxygen content is 10 to 20% and heating value 30 to 40. That means very high heating value. It is same as like a gasoline and diesel. And the main use of hydrothermal liquefaction is, you can see here, the fossil fuels are formed by the exposure of biomass to high temperatures and pressure underground for many years. But whereas a liquid fuel in HTL is obtained within hours or even minutes. That is the advantage. Main advantage is this one. We can generate a biocrude within hours or even minutes by using hydrothermal liquefaction. This is the experimental setup for hydrothermal liquefaction reactor. Here, actually in my PhD, I have used Rystra and Bagasse. These are the agro residues generated. This is the main problem. Rystra in Punjab, they'll directly use burn and on field, but you can use it to convert this Rystra into useful fuel. That's why we have taken this project. Here you can use different solvents like water, methanol, alcohols to convert it to esters. And here the major, this is the reactor we have used. This is 1 liter reactor. Here the main gas is nitrogen, but we can use hydrogen by directly. There is a no 2-step process. Here we want to use a 1-step, means this is we can use nitrogen first, then you can upgrade this fuel by using hydroprocessing technology. But you can also use hydrogen directly to convert this biomass into useful product like gasoline or diesel. You can see here this is a very viscous nature and also less amount of oxygen. That is like 5% of oxygen And we have observed that 5% of oxygen, you can send hydrogen to remove oxygen from the biocrude by using hydroprocessing technology, by removal of water from the biocrude. That is another process you can use to convert these biocrude into gasoline range of hydrocarbon. And these are the results we have got when we use rice straw. First, we have optimized how much amount of rice straw is to water ratio is needed to get a higher biocrude. Higher biocrude, we have optimized. This is the maximum amount of biocrude we have got when we use 1:10 ratio. And also, this is the HHU of biocrude. You can see HHU of biocrude is 5.5, we can say. Once we optimized this 1:10, we have fixed this 1:10 ratio, and then we varied different amount of water is to methanol ratio here. And from that, we have got 50:50 is the better option, because when we use complete methanol, we have got a higher amount, but 38.8, but there is a difference. There is a separation difficulty in this process, because a whole methanol and this biocrude cannot be completely separated. That's why we have chosen 50:50 is the optimum process. Then we have added different catalysts. Those are the alkali catalysts here. That is KOH, NaOH, and K2CO3. And these three are, and we have checked, these are the biocrude. We have got 40% of biocrude yield when we use KOH. That is the major observation from these experiments. You can see when we use water as a solvent, 12.38% we have got biocrude. And when we add methanol into that, 36 weight percentage. When we add catalyst to methanol, already available methanol, water is to methanol ratio, and we got the 39.9 weight percentage of. And HHU also in the range of 31 to 35. And also we have calculated energy consumption ratio and energy recovery of the system. And here you can see the comparison. This is company detail, Reliance Industries. They are using different processes here. See here, first one is just power generation, and second one is biochemical process, and third one is catalytic pyrolysis and anaerobic digestion, and fourth one is, this fifth one is HTL. You can see comparison between the efficiencies, the thermal efficiency between different processes. Here the thermal efficiency of hydrothermal liquefaction process has higher, that is 66%, because you can use wet biomasses directly compared to normal biomass. Because when we use dry biomass, it needs more amount of energy consumption compared to wet biomass processing. That's why you can see thermal efficiency is a 66% is of hydrothermal liquefaction. And you can see here, this is from Reliance Industries. They are already doing hydrothermal liquefaction process at a pilot scale. They are already done with the lab scale. Now they are going for pilot scale. That is the second. It's not at commercialized, but it's going to be commercialized, because it's more advantage compared to normal pyrolysis. And this is what I am talking here is hydropyrolysis. You can see here, this is what you can use biomass and directly H2 without any inert gas, like nitrogen, because directly you can use H2 and you'll get the liquid product as a hydrodeoxygenation. That means more amount of oxygen can be removed. Hello.
Yes,
Someone
Doctor.
speaking?
Yeah. Please go ahead.
Okay.
But as you mentioned in between that you can take the question. So there is
Yeah,
one
yeah.
question. So can you see their question and answer on your screen, or shall I read it?
Yeah. Why are you using black color and what about another colors?
I think this question is for the tar which you have mentioned initially.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go on. Yeah, this one. Yeah, actually here this is a more amount of phenolics. That's why its color is looks like uh, clear. And if you see the lignin is to activated carbon as a more amount of tar compounds. It's like tar compounds means polyaromatic compounds. That's recombination of single phenolics to normal aromatics to polyaromatic conversion. That's why it looks like more tarry kind of thing. That's what I explained here.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, this is a Van Kravelin diagram. This is how the people to decide oxygen to carbon ratio versus hydrogen to carbon ratio. If you see biomass as a lowest oxygen to highest oxygen to carbon ratio, and also the hydrogen to carbon ratio. If you see plastics, it has a very high amount of hydrogen to carbon ratio and low there is no you can see less than 0.1 oxygen to carbon ratio. The main aim is to convert this biomass to this range, like plastics range. That is the aim of this thermochemical conversion and upgrading processes. That's what when we use initially biomass to normal pyrolysis, it will convert it to like plastics or bit coal kind of. But when we use upgrading process like hydroprocessing by our catalytic hydropyrolysis, this will convert remaining oxygen uh, like a hydrodeoxygenation process. That is, if you use hydrodeoxygenation process, then it will convert it to gasoline range of fuels. That is the main aim of biomass to this process. Yeah, this is what I am explaining here. These are the different processes. Whatever the I have mentioned previously, it will finally go to catalytic hydroprocessing. Then it will convert it to gas, oil, or diesel. This is, you can see, wet biomass can be processed hydrothermal liquefaction, and solid biomass. This is a dry biomass, can be processed pyrolysis, and you can select gasification. You can say do Fischer-Tropsch synthesis and generate a wax and send it to catalytic hydroprocessing to produce gas, oil, or diesel by using different types of catalysts. And here you need higher pressure compared to normal process. That is one of the, and also the aim of the catalyst, that is also important here. You need to select a proper catalyst to upgrade the process. Those are different geolites and biometallic catalysts and phosphites. There are different catalysts are available. Right now, I am not explaining those catalyst steps and preparations. This is a whole just a process how it's gone. Now I am moving to multi-scale modeling. Here, these are the process. The final destination is hydrocarbons. Here mainly gas, oil, diesel range of hydrocarbons. Now in the multi-scale modeling, there are different scales. Like initially very atomistic model, that is quantum mechanics or transition state theory. This is a computational chemistry kind of modeling. When we go up, it leads to pilot scale and process and plant simulation scale. When we use quantum mechanics, you will get the kinetic parameters. Those are mainly activation energy, and everyone knows chemical engineering, reaction engineering. This Arrhenius parameters. What are the Arrhenius parameters here? Like K equal to K naught into e power minus E by RT. Here you can get activation energy and pre-exponential factor. You can calculate rate constant of that reaction. Then you can calculate rate of reaction, whole rate of reaction from that rate constant. That is a main idea of using quantum mechanics and transition state theory calculations with respect to reaction engineering. But you can calculate, there are so many properties by using electrical properties. Also you can calculate by using quantum mechanics or quantum by using quantum mechanics you can calculate different electrical properties, mechanical properties. And in with respect to chemical engineering point of view, we are mainly focusing on like rate of reaction or rate constant calculation. That's why I'm mentioning we can calculate rate parameters by using transition state theory for individual reactions. Like you can calculate for gas-phase reactions, and also catalytic reactions also you can calculate by using different softwares. Like quantum mechanics, you can use Gaussian 09. This is, you can mainly for gas-phase reactions, it is very easy to calculate rate parameters using Gaussian 09. When we go for catalytic phase, you can go for VASP or quantum ATK. And also there are some software CP2K and quantum espresso also available to calculate rate parameters. And when we go for pilot scale or any reactor modeling, inside reactor, what we want to know what is happening, then you can go for computational fluid dynamics. And then in a whole process you want to simulate by using Aspin. That is it will give you whole idea what is it will give you material balance, energy balance calculations, and you can calculate whole economics also by using Aspin Plus. That is a major advantage of these three things, like quantum state transition state theory or density functional theory, and computational fluid dynamics, and process and plant simulation. Here I missed these two. This will also as a molecular simulations. This is the molecular dynamics and kinetic Monte Carlo. It will also give kinetic parameters with respect to dynamics. That is a major advantage. With respect to time also we can get parameters. In the next step, I will only discuss about the computational chemistry point of view. What are the things we can what is the importance of using DFT in heterogeneous catalysis? Here, when we doing experiments, we need to select different catalysts direct by using first we need to select one catalyst and do the experiment. It's almost 8 hours or 9 hours experiment. Then you need to check again, you need to use another catalyst and again check. And this is a very trial and error approach and tedious process. That's why we want to use simulation to get the kinetic parameters for the new catalyst. You need to design a catalyst by using VASP, and then you will get the kinetic parameters. Then you can do microkinetic modeling further. Then it will give you whole idea what is the total yield of that by using concentrations. Like you will get the concentration, then you can convert it to yield. And you can check by catalytic experiments. Combined with catalytic experiment will give you whole idea. If you do only one experiment and check the microkinetic modeling, then it will give you a very less time you can consume, and also it will give you the whole kinetic parameters. You can use it for pilot scale also. That is the main idea of doing DFT, experimental and microkinetic modeling whole approach. And this is the whole common workflow to do DFT. First, for beginners, it is like you can understand not easily, because directly these are the different softwares we are using to calculate the active adsorption energies and kinetic parameters. First, the general step, first you need to know how to use Vista and Material Studio. For this, first you need to create different surfaces. Everyone, I think everyone know about how to the catalyst surface and planes. I think students, it's very complicated, but I will explain just a normal way. Just first you need to create a surface. This is a copper gallium surface. This is yeah, this is a copper gallium surface. If you know planes from the XRD, there is a X-ray diffraction factor. You can get the plane, that is a 111 plane or 100 or 111, whatever. Then you can generate the surface. Then you can calculate individual energy of that particular surface, and also individual energy for a particular molecule, whatever you are interested in. Then you can calculate, you can adsorb this molecule onto the surface. This is a catalytic surface, because when we go for catalytic reactions, this is what you need to do. When we adsorb this on a surface, then it will give you the adsorption energy. This is a general adsorption energy reactions, like heat of enthalpy, how you need to calculate heat of reaction. That is products minus reactions, you can select it. Same as here, E adsorbate plus surface minus E adsorb minus E surface. That will give you the adsorption energy of particular particular compound adsorption. And then you can calculate transition state theory. Everyone knows transition state theory, yeah, because the chemical engineers, everyone knows, because from that calculate transition state theory by using Nudged elastic band equation method. That will give you the activation energy of that particular reaction, and you can and pre-exponential factor. By using these two parameters, you can substitute in Arrhenius equation, that is K equal to A into e power minus E by RT. Once you substitute activation energy and pre-exponential factor, you will get the rate constant. And also you can calculate by thermochemical properties like entropy. Entropy you can calculate by using this VASP, and also enthalpy and heat of reaction. Once you get the activation energy and pre-exponential factor, you will get the rate constant. Then once you get the rate constant, you need to you need to form a different ordinary differential equations. Once you get the activation energy, it's very difficult. Yeah, once you get the activation energies, first you need to form rate of reaction equations. Everyone knows, like if you have a reaction, this is like A plus B tends to C. That means you have rate of reaction is minus RA is equal to minus K into CACB, right? Then you can calculate, you can formulate different ordinary differential equations, and then you can solve using MATLAB, and you will get the individual concentrations of different species. That's what microkinetic modeling do. Yeah, this is the final slide of my presentation. You can see here, this is the forward activation energy, and this is a backward activation energy. Forward activation energy means activation energy is transition state minus initial state. That is you can see here. If you use this is the saddle point and this is a saddle point, this is the transition state energy. If you see, this is the initial state. If you transition state minus this initial state will give you the activation energy of forward reaction, and backward reaction, this transition state minus EFS, that will give you the E backward reaction. That's what it can be used for microkinetic modeling in the next in the further processes. I'll thank you, my previous group, and now the multi-scale reaction engineering group, to do this presentation and everything, and thank you. If you have any questions, please feel to ask me.
Yeah, this house is open for the discussion. If you have any doubts, any questions you want to ask to our today's expert, you can raise your hand. So we'll give you rights to speak, or you may write in the chat box as well. Diva ma'am, do you want to interact? Okay. By the way, I will start the discussion, then the questions will come.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I really like the approach which you started with. Actually, the goal was for today's discussion is sustainable development goals. And nowadays, waste to oil or waste to fuel, that is very important. But now the definition of waste has been changed day by day. And one of the waste is biological waste or the surgical waste. Nowadays, due to pandemic and COVID, everybody is going for the surgical mask or the surgical dresses, you may say. But
hospital waste.
how to tackle the problem? So you gave the answer actually. That is a simple phenomena. The pyrolysis, it is a simple phenomena for us, right?
Yeah. This is directly you can use pyrolysis and or whatever the combustion or gasification you can use. But if we are looking for mainly fuels, then you can go for pyrolysis process. That is a main idea. If you want heat generation from medical waste or whatever thing, then you can go for gasification or combustion. That is the main idea of this one. You can mix two feedstocks also. That is like a co-pyrolysis. If you say, if you mix plastics with this medical mass, then it will give you more amount of fuels. That is also one of the advantage of plastics with mixed with this feedstock. And also, if we have agro residue waste, that means rice straw, bagasse waste, and also some food waste, you can mix with other kind of waste, whatever it have highest value, then it will give you the more fuel range of gasoline or diesel range of fuel.
Okay. Fine. Any further question from the participants? Anything you want to share? Actually, there was a question apart from reaction time, which are the other parameters you are controlling or analyzing which may affect the synthesis? I think this question was related to your PhD work.
Process? Which process? I think if generally there are different operating parameters. Like if you see, there are different operating parameters like temperature, pressure, and whatever the feedstock. That is the main effect. Main effect is the feedstock, and also feedstock to, if you use hydrothermal liquefaction, there is a range solvent, which solvent we need to use. When we use pyrolysis, that time you can select what is the ratio of feedstock to any susceptor. When we use microwave pyrolysis, this is the availability, like which kind of susceptor you need to use, and what is the ratio between feedstock and susceptor. That depends on the process you take and depends on the feedstock you take and whatever the operating parameters you are operating. Those are the, this is not a proper conclusion directly, it will not give, because when we use different feedstock, it will give you different amount of oil or whatever the thing we are looking for. That is the main thing. There is no proper conclusion right now for any process, because if you use directly COVID-19 mask, then you don't know the composition in the starting. Then it will give you a different amount of oil. And what are the parameters you need to optimize first, then you can select which one is the better.
And even if we are discussing about the process intensification and all, so I think the point which you have raised, like conventional pyrolysis and microwave pyrolysis, that is the best option actually.
Yeah, actually,
Do you?
the main advantage
please
is
go ahead.
microwave pyrolysis is better compared to conventional pyrolysis because it requires less time, and eating also it will generate easily. Like it will take when we do pyrolysis, it take some 1 hour.
Mhm.
Then when we do microwave pyrolysis, within minutes it is completed. And also heating mechanism is main important, because the microwave pyrolysis, the heating is from inside to outside, and also there are plasma spots or hot spots you can generate. It will give you increase within time, it will heat directly compared to pyrolysis. That is one of the advantage of microwave pyrolysis.
Mhm. And as you said that while doing the work, you have just modified the microwave which is available for the kitchen, like a kind of
Yes.
kitchenware. So
Yes, yes.
is there any company or resource which is available nowadays? They are especially working in this field where the
No, no.
reactors.
Actually, the reactor, there is a one research grade reactor. There is a one company in Pune,
Mhm.
that is a Raga Tech.
Okay.
Yeah. That is a research grade microwave reactor. But if you have normal oven also, you can do the experiment. Like you can remove top part, that top wall, then you can create a hole, then just use a quartz flask as the reactor inside the oven.
Yes, but there I
Maybe
think the losses.
yeah, there are some losses, but we have used initially lab scale this homemade oven only.
Yes, yes.
I
Even
have did the experiments with.
most of the
But
engineering colleges
recently,
now
yeah,
we are working on the same phenomena where we are having the microwave reactor which is easily available.
yeah, because that is 5,000 rupees, and you can buy a quartz flask. It will be less than 10,000. You can get the whole setup done based on that. That is a major advantage of just lab scale modification
Mhm, mhm.
of that reactor. Anyone working on DFT?
In this
In
audience, anybody is there who is working on the same in the same field, DFT?
or molecular simulation?
Yeah. If anybody want to interact with Dr. Yaraya, please raise your hand. So this is a good opportunity for everyone. And even you discussed with there are many companies like one Chennai-based companies there who is working in this field.
Yeah, yeah.
So there are a lot of opportunities actually, and even the concept of smart cities, which is raised, which government of India has been worked upon.
Yeah, they are providing funding also for these companies.
Even for the smart cities in every city, we have this kind of waste, which we can from which we can generate
Actually,
energy as well.
yeah, this Peterson Energy, they are providing whole India. now.
Mhm.
Now they based in Chennai. Now they are providing this a whole setup to individual estates to reuse this municipal solid waste to convert it to fuels. They are doing great.
And one more question, which you have given, just what research objective you had in your for your PhD, and the research gap you identified, like the current scenario of Punjab and Delhi is facing the problem.
Yeah,
So that was your aim. And one of our colleague, our head of the department, he is expert in air pollution. He's working in the
Okay.
similar fine, but the other one, he's looking
Okay.
for the air pollution and everything. So there are many problems.
Actually, we have started this project, Raistra, because of that Punjab issue. Based on that only, we have started this project, hydrothermal liquefaction.
Yes.
Yeah.
Abhishek sir, are you there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You rightly said that. Sir is working before before burning, what they can do. My work was about what we can do after burning if air pollutants are being released in the air. So I work there for the treatment systems, how we can do something if in any case that pollutant has reached to New Delhi or any other state, how we can control them, or what should be the like I've done the source apportionment studies there, some modeling related to industrial emissions also. So
Okay.
I had worked on the later on part. If some pollutant has been released, say by doing some receptor modeling or your source modeling. So I worked for that part.
Okay.
I found your work much more interesting because in our department, one faculty is there, Professor Satish Maurya. He's also working on this microwave assisted pyrolysis, rightly said by Ritesh sir. So that type of setup also we are also having, but it is like that. It is home oven and it is being modified instead of purchasing the research work.
Yeah, actually, previously also we have used same thing.
Yeah.
Nowadays, people are doing research scale, but in the
Yeah,
starting scale, yeah, depends on the research fund.
Yeah,
That is
because
important.
initially we can initiate with this type of setup. Then if we found that some project is in our hand, then we can go
Yeah,
with this type of
exactly.
research-based equipments,
Yes.
because cost plays an important role in private university.
Exactly.
Sir, then any other question is there?
Yeah, there is a question from one of our student. Like, sir, why do they say microwave is easy to use than oven? Why isn't because of how it is made or?
No, both are same, right? Microwave oven is same. Microwave and microwave oven. We are just modifying microwave oven to the as a reactor to generate the biofuel or whatever.
I hope you got the answer. These are microwave is a technique. Just to add to your,
Add to you, yeah.
it is a technique, and oven it is a kind of equipment. So both are
Equipment.
combined to get a kind of reactor, let's say, right?
Just just modify that, yeah, to the reactor.
There is one more faculty from our department, Archana ma'am. If you are there, do you want to discuss few more points? Archana ma'am, you may unmute if you want to discuss.
Yeah, I found it very interesting. Some students are also planning for the research work in this field. So whenever we have some guidance required, we'll be contacting doctor.
Yeah, sure.
It was really interesting.
Thank you.
Rightly said by ma'am, because initially from last 1.5 years, our 2 PG students, they are working on what they can do with this biomass. particularly they are from environmental engineering background. So they are just initiated with vermicomposting, then related thing. And now they are moving towards this pyrolysis method. So I hope if any sort of guidance will be required, sir, uh, students will be contacting you or ma'am will be
Sure.
contacting.
Yeah.
It will be very helpful for them to have a real guidance, because reading from papers and getting real guidance, it will be different for them.
Yeah. Thank you. Please feel to contact. That's no problem.
Okay, so no other questions? Fine. So for the further proceedings, I would just to summarize whatever he presented to us, Dr. Yaraya, that he started with the 3 R's: reduce, reuse, recycle. Then he discussed about the first generation, second generation, and third generation fuels. Then the different analysis of the work, whatever he did, either the research gap he found out, or the kind of work he carried out in the IIT Madras. And next part is obviously the analysis, how to do the analysis. He also mentioned about how to go for the modeling approach as well. So in order to reduce the error, yes, we need the modeling approach. And yes, everything is basic. Say chemical reaction engineering, if you know the activation energy, you know K is equals to K0 e raised to power minus E by RT, you'll be able to find out the solution from chemical reaction engineering. So that is what the takeaway point, like thermochemical conversion in every aspect, either it is from the West or it is maybe some regenerative methods. So that is the takeaway point from the today's this session from Dr. Yaraya. So now I would like to invite Dr. Professor Abhishek Gupta sir to share views on this today's webinar session, sir. Please.
Thank you, sir. So I feel that what was our main objective is to have knowledge distribution among students across India on major aspects related to sustainability and how we can combine that thing with our chemical engineering section. And with that, we have invited our 3 speakers, and I found that students have also interacted well, and they have asked their questions. And in first session with Dr. Uday, they have discussed about his expertise. Then Dr. Kiran has also shared from the IT. He was there from the IT. He has shared his thoughts, and students have cleared all of their doubts along with discussion. And most important, during online sessions, there can be some nuisance, but at least our participants have behaved very professionally during this session. And they have asked questions and they have maintained the decorum of this international webinar also. And so I think now we can end this session with the vote of thanks, because right now we are not having any further questions from students.
Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Yes, sir. I would like to thank you for everyone for providing support by Guj Coast, Department of Science and Technology, Government of Gujarat. Apart from that, our management, our professor, our dean, academics, dean of faculty of engineering, dean research, dean PG, and even our department head, Professor Abhishek Gupta sir, and other faculties. I would like to thank you for your constant support throughout this process. So that's it from this webinar. And for the webinar certificates, I would like to tell you to all the participants, those who are active and they are with us from the morning session. So you will get your certificates within a week. So you will find out, and please make sure that whatever the email you are mentioning in the feedback form, it must be valid. And yes, that is shared with you for the third session as well. The feedback link is shared. So we are taking your attendance from the Zoom as well as from your feedback form as well. So if you are not filled the feedback form, though you are present there, so don't worry about that. So thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Team Marwadi, Department of Chemical Engineering, everyone, for this support. So with the permission from the HOD, sir, I would like to conclude today's session. Thank you very much, everyone.
Yes, for sure. From my part also, I would like to thank for all the participants, those who have participated in this international webinar, our 3 speakers, those who have accepted our invitation as well as they have shared their knowledge with the participants, and our good hosts because they have financially supported this international webinar, and our Marward University deans, registrars, and directors, those have encouraged us and they have also guided us so that we can arrange these type of events, and we will be for sure arranging similar types of event in future also. And especially, sir, Ritesh sir, congratulations to you because being a coordinator, you have taken a lot of burden on your shoulders, and other departmental faculties also, those have helped you for the successful conduction of this international webinar. So with this, I think we should end this meeting, sir. And in future, I hope we will meet again with some more events, participants. We will share further details if any activity will be there with you also. And sir, in future, we will also call you in any of the event that we will be arranging.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. And Dr. Ritesh for inviting us.
It's pleasure to meet you, Yaraya. Always you are one of the inspiring person. Okay, we'll be in touch. We'll be in touch. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye.
See you.